The Galactic Concord watched Earth from very far away. From the crystal spires of Valorum Prime, the galaxy's oldest and most powerful alliance studied the blue planet with polite boredom. Thousands of species had risen and fallen under the Concord's long memory. Humans, they decided, were nothing special. They fight each other constantly, said Archivist Kale of the Indari, his translucent limbs glowing softly. Primitive chemical weapons. Crude politics. Emotional decision-making. The council chamber shimmered with holograms of Earth. Wars. Markets. Crowds. Cities glowing at night. They have not mastered faster-than-light travel, added High Strategist Voran of the Celt Dominion. They are divided into nation-states. They argue over borders on a single planet. Laughter rippled through the chamber. Another noisy species, said Chair being Althrex, ancient and vast. Mark them as Class 3 developing. Observe only. So the Concord observed. They saw humans split atoms before understanding gravity. They saw them walk on their moon with fragile bodies wrapped in metal. They saw them nearly destroy themselves more than once, and somehow stop at the edge every time. What the Concord did not see was why. On Earth, humans did not know they were watched. But they had learned something the galaxy had forgotten long ago. Survival. In underground bunkers, scientists worked with limited resources and relentless pressure. In war zones, soldiers adapted faster than any model predicted. When systems failed, humans improvised. When leaders fell, others rose. Failure did not end them. It sharpened them. The first human signal reached the Concord 80 years later. A distorted FTL echo. Unstable. Loud. Brilliant. They forced a jump, Archivist Kale whispered. Without dampeners. That should have killed them, Voran said. But it didn't. The Concord debated for days. They will burn themselves out, said one delegate. They will fracture, said another. Chair being Althrex made the final decision. We will not interfere. Weak species eliminate themselves. On Earth, humanity celebrated its first leap to the stars. They named the ship Endurance. Part 2, First Contact, First Mistake. The Endurance did not travel far before it was intercepted. A Concord patrol ship, elegant and ancient, emerged from folded space. Its hull glowed with living crystal. Its weapons were powered but idle. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge, hands steady, heart racing. Open channels, he said. The alien face that appeared was calm. Tall. Many-eyed. You are trespassing in Concord-controlled space, the alien said. Identify your species. We are humans, Ward replied. From Earth. There was a pause. Then amusement. You are not authorized for interstellar travel, the alien said. Your technology is unstable. You are a danger to yourselves. Ward swallowed his pride. We come in peace. The alien studied him like an insect. Return to your planet, it said. Do not attempt this again. The channel closed. Back on Valorum Prime, the report caused mild concern. They survived contact, Archivist Kale admitted. They showed restraint. Fear, Varan corrected. They know their place. The Concord voted. Humans would be contained. Subtle interference. Trade blockades. FTL lane restrictions. No war. Just limits. On Earth, ships began to vanish. Signals were jammed. Colonies failed without explanation. Human leaders argued. Scientists cursed. Then adapted. They stopped using predictable routes. They abandoned standard energy signatures. They learned to hide in noise. When a Concord drone was captured near Mars, humanity learned something shocking. The galaxy was not peaceful. It was managed. Part 3, The Cage Closes. The Concord escalated. Containment fields were placed around Sol. Invisible walls that bent space itself. You may develop, Chair being Althrex declared. But only here. Humanity was furious. But not helpless. Admiral Renata Solis addressed Earth. They think we are animals in a reserve, she said. They are wrong. Human engineers dismantled captured alien tech piece by piece. They found the flaw. The Concord relied on perfection. Humans relied on redundancy. They built weapons that overheated, but only after firing. Ships that broke, but finished the mission first. The first human warship, Defiance, punched through the containment field using brute force and mathematical chaos. The Concord watched in disbelief. That should not be possible, Voran said. But it was. And it was only the beginning. Part 4, The Galaxy Burns. War came like a storm. Human fleets moved unpredictably. They used old engines in new ways. They lured Concord armadas into asteroid fields. They sacrificed ships to win seconds. Seconds mattered. Alien commanders panicked. They do not retreat, one screamed. They reroute power manually, another cried. On the burning world of Xantha, humans faced the Kelt Dominion. Stand down, Varan transmitted. You cannot win. Admiral Solis answered calmly. We already have. Human ground troops fought in vacuum, fire, and darkness. Wounded soldiers kept moving. Commanders died and were replaced instantly. The Concord lost 3 core fleets. The galaxy watched. Part 5, Fear of the Apex. Neutral species began to whisper. Humans do not fight like us. They adapt mid-battle. They learn. Archivist Kale stared at the data. They improve faster than our simulations, he said quietly. Chair being Althrax felt something new. Fear. The Concord attempted diplomacy. You may join us, Althrax offered. Under guidance. President Amina Rao replied. You tried to cage us. Silence. We will not be managed, she continued. We will be equal. Or else. Part 6, The Last Gambit. The Concord unleashed its final weapon. The Star Silence Array. It would erase Sol from existence. Human spies discovered it hours before activation. Not enough time to stop it. So they changed the rules. Human hackers flooded the array with impossible math. Human ships rammed control nodes. Human volunteers stayed behind to overload reactors by hand. Captain Ward, older now, smiled as his ship burned. Worth it, he said. The array detonated harmlessly. The Concord's power was broken. Part 7, The Age of Humans. The war ended. Not with conquest. With acceptance. The Concord dissolved. A new council formed. Humans were offered a seat. They took many. Archivist Kale recorded the final note. Humans are not the strongest. Not the fastest. Not the oldest. He paused. But they are unstoppable. On Earth, children looked at the stars. They were no longer watched. They were watching back. The Endurance drifted at the edge of human imagination. It was not large by later standards, but to Earth it was a miracle. Steel, carbon, and fragile lives wrapped around a drive no one fully trusted. Its hull bore scars from tests that should have torn it apart. Every bolt had been tightened twice. Every system had a manual backup and then a human backup for the backup. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge, watching stars stretch into pale lines as the ship decelerated from its first faster-than-light jump. Drive cooling, an officer said, voice tight. Hull integrity holding. A quiet cheer moved through the crew. They had done it. Humanity had stepped outside its cradle. Then space folded. Not violently. Not loudly. It simply opened. A ship appeared ahead of them, vast, elegant, and terrifyingly calm. Its surface looked grown rather than built, crystalline veins pulsing with soft light. No exhaust. No heat plume. No visible weapons. Every alarm on the Endurance screamed anyway. Unknown vessel, the sensor chief said. Mass readings off the scale. Technology. I don't even have words. Ward took a slow breath. Power weapons down. Open channels. The bridge lights dimmed as a hologram formed. The alien that appeared was tall and narrow, its body layered with translucent plates that shifted color as it moved. Multiple eyes focused on Ward at once, not with curiosity but assessment. You are emitting unstable spatial distortions, the alien said, its voice smooth and perfectly translated. Identify your origin and intent. Ward swallowed. He had practiced this speech 100 times. My name is Captain Elias Ward of the human exploration vessel Endurance, he said. We come from the planet Earth. We come in peace. The alien tilted its head. Peace, it repeated as if tasting the word. You have achieved independent faster-than-light travel? Yes, Ward said. Recently. Pause. Then something close to amusement flickered across the alien's shifting colors. That is improbable, it said. Your species profile indicates high aggression, internal conflict, and technological inconsistency. Ward clenched his jaw. We adapt quickly. The alien did not respond to that. You are within territory administered by the Galactic Concord, it said. You are not registered. You are not approved. You are not prepared. Behind the alien, a larger chamber came into view. Vast shapes, ancient symbols, other beings watching with distant interest. Ward felt suddenly very small. What happens now? He asked. You will return to your planet, the alien said. You will cease further attempts at interstellar expansion until properly evaluated. And if we don't? Ward asked. The alien's eyes focused sharply. Then you will be contained. The channel closed. The alien ship vanished as effortlessly as it had arrived. Silence filled the bridge. Someone laughed nervously. Someone else swore. Ward stared at the empty space where the ship had been. They didn't even threaten us, an officer said. They just dismissed us. Ward nodded slowly. That was the threat. On Valorum Prime, the report was delivered to the Concord Council. A single human vessel, Archivist Kale summarized. Crude hull design. Unrefined FTL method. High energy leakage. Crew survival probability estimated at 23%. And yet they survived, High Strategist Voran said. And they spoke calmly. Confidence born of ignorance, another delegate said. They do not understand the scale they face. Chair being Althrex listened, ancient mind turning slowly. They are emotionally driven, Althrex said. But emotionally resilient. That is unusual. What is your recommendation? Voran asked. Observation, Althrex replied. But with limits. The council agreed. Humanity would not be destroyed. Not yet. Would be managed. The first signs came quietly. Human probes vanished beyond Jupiter. Communication lag increased inexplicably. Navigation data became unreliable outside a narrow bubble around Sol. Scientists blamed equipment errors. Then a colony ship bound for Proxima Centauri simply disappeared. No debris. No signal. Panic rippled across Earth. Admiral Renata Solis stood before the United Earth Assembly, jaw tight. We are not alone, she said. And someone out there does not want us to spread. Politicians argued. Some demanded surrender to the unknown power. Others demanded weapons. In the laboratories, engineers stopped arguing and started working. They reviewed the Endurance encounter frame by frame. They analyzed alien energy signatures. They noticed something important. The alien ship had not raised shields. It had not needed to. That fact terrified them. But another detail mattered more. The alien had talked. They don't see us as enemies, one scientist said. They see us as a problem to be solved. Or contained, another replied. Humanity had spent its entire history resisting cages. Natural, political, and ideological. This one just happened to be cosmic. When the second human FTL ship, Resolute, attempted a jump and slammed into an invisible boundary that bent space like glass, the truth became undeniable. Earth was being fenced in. Ward, now grounded, watched the footage in silence. They think if they draw lines we'll stop, he said quietly. Admiral Solis looked at him. Will we? Ward shook his head. No, he said. We'll learn where the lines bend. Far away, the Concorde watched Earth's growing frustration with mild interest. They will exhaust themselves, Voran said confidently. All young species do. Archivist Kale was not so sure. They do not behave like projections, he said. They respond to pressure with innovation, not collapse. Althrex closed its many eyes. Then we will increase pressure, it said. None of them noticed the small human drone drifting silently near the containment boundary, recording, learning, adapting. The Concorde believed first contact was over. They were wrong. It was only the beginning. Rocket. The invisible wall around Sol was perfect. That was the problem. The containment field did not glow. It did not hum. It did not announce itself. Space simply refused to behave beyond a certain distance from the sun. Light bent wrong. Time slipped by fractions of a second. FTL calculations failed in ways no equation could explain. To the Galactic Concorde it was elegance itself. To humanity it was an insult. Admiral Renata Solis stood inside the Deep Orbit Command Station Aegis 1, watching real-time projections of the field ripple like a frozen ocean. They didn't block us with force, she said. They rewrote the rules. Around her sat physicists, engineers, and military planners pulled from every nation. Arguments that once took years to settle were now resolved in minutes. There was no room left for pride. Dr. Haruto Klein, lead theoretical engineer, gestured to the hologram. The field anticipates standard FTL equations, he said. It assumes optimal efficiency, stable energy curves, and clean symmetry. So? Solis asked. So it assumes perfection, Klein replied. Which means it breaks when things get messy. That was when the room went quiet. Humans were very good at messy. On Valorum Prime, High Strategist Voran delivered his update. Containment is complete, he announced. Human expansion halted. No hostile action required. Murmurs of approval echoed through the Concorde chamber. They will turn inward now, said a delegate of the Threx Combine. Internal conflict will resume. Archivist Kale did not join the celebration. He had been reviewing human historical data again. Wars, collapses, recoveries. They unify under pressure, he said softly. Containment may accelerate their development. Voran dismissed the concern. They lack the technological foundation to challenge us, he said. Their ships barely survive their own engines. Chair being Althrex issued the final decree. Maintain the field. Increase surveillance. No direct engagement unless provoked. The Concord believed the cage was closed. Earth changed. Nations that had once guarded secrets now shared them openly. Military budgets flowed into science. Rival corporations were absorbed into planetary projects. Human culture shifted from competition to endurance. Children learned orbital mechanics alongside history. Engineers became celebrities. The phrase "good enough" vanished from vocabulary, replaced by "will it hold?" In a hidden facility beneath the Pacific, the Defiance began construction. It was not beautiful. Its hull was layered, ugly, and thick. Heat vents jutted out at strange angles. Systems overlapped in ways that made alien engineers shudder. But it had one purpose: break the cage. Captain Elias Ward returned to service, older, calmer, and sharper. They expect us to fail safely, he told his crew. We won't. The first test was a drone. Unmanned. Overloaded. It approached the containment boundary slowly, broadcasting nonsense data, false signatures, random equations, corrupted signals. The field responded instantly, adjusting itself. Then the drone detonated its drive mid-calculation. Space screamed. Not audibly but mathematically. The field rippled. For exactly 0.8 seconds, it destabilized. That was enough. Run it again, Dr. Klein said, eyes wide. They ran it again. And again. Each time the window grew. The Concorde noticed the fluctuations but dismissed them as background noise. No organized pattern, Voran said. Human error. Archivist Kale stared at the data longer than necessary. Or human testing, he murmured. The Defiance launched in silence. No ceremony. No broadcast. Its crew understood the odds. As the ship approached the boundary, alarms howled. Systems failed. Backup systems failed. Manual controls kicked in. Drive spiking, an officer shouted. Hold it, Ward yelled. Now. They fired the FTL drive imperfectly, power surging unevenly, equations deliberately broken. The containment field tried to correct. It failed. Space tore open like stretched fabric. The Defiance burst through, hull glowing red, trailing debris. Behind it, the containment field collapsed for 12 full seconds. 12 seconds was an eternity. Human sensors recorded everything. Ward laughed once, breathless. Tell Earth, he said. The cage leaks. Panic swept the Concorde. That vessel should not exist, Voran snapped. It violates containment parameters. It forced instability, Archivist Kale said. Intentionally. Althrex rose from its ancient resting structure. They are using imperfection as a weapon, it said slowly. Adaptation through failure. The council chamber fell silent. They are learning, Kale said. And faster than we are. Orders were issued. Containment fields were reinforced. Patrol fleets were repositioned. But the damage was done. Humanity had proof. They were not trapped. They were restrained. And restraints could be broken. Across Earth, celebrations erupted, but they were short, controlled. Admiral Solis addressed the planet. This is not victory, she said. This is permission to fight. Production accelerated. New shipyards bloomed in orbit. Weapons once theoretical entered testing. Human doctrine evolved. No single point of failure. No perfect plan. Every system designed to fail usefully. Human ships began to look less like machines and more like survival organisms, scarred, redundant, stubborn. The Concorde watched human output triple in half the predicted time. They are militarizing, Voran warned. They always were, Archivist Kale replied. We just gave them a reason. Althrex stared at the human star system glowing on the map. We tried to contain a species defined by resistance, it said. For the first time in its long existence, the Concorde had a doubt. And doubt, like cracks in a perfect cage, spreads. The cage was closing. But humanity was already forcing it open. Fire rocket. The first human warship that escaped the containment field became a legend almost instantly. It was not large. It was not graceful. Its hull was pockmarked and scarred from countless emergency repairs. Its engines glowed unevenly, almost as if they were bleeding energy. But it was alive and it was free. The Concorde did not take this lightly. High Strategist Voran called an emergency council on Valorum Prime. Holographic maps of Sol and surrounding systems floated above the chamber. Lines representing patrol routes, containment fields, and Concord fleets crisscrossed the space. "This is unacceptable," Voran said. "We assumed they were a minor nuisance. They are unpredictable." Archivist Kale studied the human data streams. Unpredictable is an understatement. They do not fight like other species. They do not follow pattern or protocol. Their strategy is adaptive, instantaneous. They anticipate and improvise faster than our simulations can process. A delegate hissed. "Then we hit them harder. Deploy fleets. Enforce blockades. They will break." Kale shook his translucent limbs. "They thrive on pressure. Their species evolves under stress." Althrex's multiple eyes glimmered. "We assumed weakness. That was a mistake. We may have underestimated a species capable of apex adaptability." Meanwhile, in orbit around the gas giant Typhon, Captain Elias Ward of the Defiance watched his screens. FTL relays, Concord patrols, and asteroid clusters filled the displays. Every movement of enemy fleets was tracked and catalogued, but Ward did not flinch. "We are not here to fight perfectly," Ward said. "We are here to survive and win." Lieutenant Syra Chin, young and relentless, leaned over. "Sir, the Kelt fleet is 2 light minutes out. They're blocking all escape routes." Ward smiled thinly. "Good. That means they are predictable, if we choose the right chaos." The first battle started near the ice world of Xantha 5. Human warships, heavily scarred but crewed by fearless veterans, approached the Concord fleet. Kelt ships were sleek, crystalline, flawless. Their weapon systems were perfectly aligned. "Target their flank," Ward ordered. "Simulate a retreat." Human ships scattered in uneven arcs. Some engines faltered intentionally. Others jammed energy pulses in irregular patterns. Concord commanders adjusted their formations, trying to anticipate the movement. Then humans struck, each ship unleashing concentrated fire at multiple points at once, exploiting gaps created by their own controlled chaos. Concord shields fluctuated under the barrage. Ships collided in asteroid belts. Concord drones overloaded and detonated unpredictably. "Unbelievable," one Kelt officer muttered. They anticipate our counters before we even decide them." On the bridge of the Defiance, Ward observed calmly. "We are not outmatching them. We are out-imagining them." Meanwhile, on Valorum Prime, chaos reigned. The Concord Council scrambled. "Redirect fleets. Block FTL corridors," shouted Voran. "No," Kale interjected, voice calm but urgent. "That will only teach them faster. They adapt mid-battle. You cannot corner them. You can only delay them." Althrex remained silent, observing the holograms. "They are learning our weaknesses as fast as we expose them. Every overreaction, every adjustment, every patrol pattern becomes a blueprint for human tactics." The Concord fleets had assumed humans were slow, emotional, and predictable. Every assumption had failed spectacularly. Back at Xantha 5, the battle intensified. Human ships intentionally rammed Concord vessels, not to destroy but to force miscalculations. Boarding parties launched via vacuum pods into Kelt ships. Engineers created improvised energy weapons on the fly. Ships that should have exploded held together under impossible conditions, and when one did finally detonate, it destroyed multiple enemy vessels at once. A Kelt admiral, watching through advanced sensors, barked in disbelief. They are thinking like us. No, worse, they are thinking beyond us." Human fighters used every terrain advantage: asteroid belts, magnetic storms, and ion clouds. Concord ships could not anticipate the irregularity. Every standard tactic failed. "Admiral," Lieutenant Chin reported breathlessly, "they're adjusting to our adjustments. We can't rely on symmetry anymore. They predict it." Ward's voice was calm. "Good. Let them. Then we choose the unpredictable moment, the human moment." On Earth, news of the battles filtered through, shrouded in secrecy. Humanity celebrated quietly, knowing the scale of the conflict. Dr. Haruto Klein briefed the Planetary Council. "They underestimated us because we are messy. We make mistakes and use them. Our chaos is a weapon. Our improvisation is a shield. They assume perfection is the key to power. We assume survival is the key to power." Politicians, once skeptical, nodded. Military production accelerated. Every citizen contributed in some way: scientists, engineers, logistics coordinators, even children learning orbital mechanics. Humanity was unified not by fear but by purpose. In the outer systems, whispers spread among neutral species. Humans do not fight like anyone else, said an ambassador from the Threx Combine. They improvise, adapt, and escalate in ways that defy our simulations. They survive situations designed to kill them, added a merchant from the Zalari trade network. And then they strike back harder. Even among the most powerful, respect began to mix with fear. After weeks of skirmishes, the Concord fleets retreated to reassess. The containment field was still intact, but cracks had appeared, not physical but tactical, psychological. They have broken our assumptions, Kale said quietly. We believe them weak. They have proven otherwise. Althrex's voice resonated through the council chamber. The galaxy has underestimated humanity, and now the galaxy burns for it. In orbit around Xantha 5, the Defiance limped into the dark void, engines smoking, systems failing, but the crew cheered. Another victory, Ward said. Not because we are stronger. Not because we are faster. But because we refuse to lose. Somewhere deep in Concord territory, a young officer whispered to a superior. They are unstoppable. The galaxy realized, slowly and painfully, that the humans had not just survived first contact. They had rewritten the rules of engagement. And the war had only just begun. Fire. The galaxy was whispering about humans now. Not as curiosity. Not as annoyance. But as a real, terrifying force. News traveled faster than light through neutral trade lanes and covert observation posts. Entire species, once confident in their superiority, were re-evaluating their assumptions. Humans do not fight like us, said an ambassador of the Zalari trade network, voice trembling. They learn. They anticipate. They survive where all others die. High strategist Voran of the Kelt Dominion refused to accept it. From the crystalline spires of Valorum Prime, he addressed the Concord Council. They are a young species, emotional, untested. They rely on improvisation and luck. Their survival is statistical anomaly, not strategy. Archivist Kale shook his translucent limbs. You call it luck. I call it evolution under fire. They adapt faster than any species in recorded history. You are witnessing a species defined by apex resilience. Althrex, the ancient chair being, remained silent for a moment longer than usual, its many eyes reflecting the holographic map of Sol and the surrounding systems. Finally it spoke. Fear is rising among the council. Perhaps, for the first time in our history, we have underestimated a species. Perhaps the humans are no longer merely a problem. Perhaps they are an apex. On Earth, President Amina Rao addressed the United Nations and Global Military Command in a secure orbital station above New York. The Concord believed we could be contained. They believed we could be neutralized. They assumed we would submit to their orders. Rao's voice echoed across the chamber, steady and commanding. They were wrong. And the galaxy is about to learn why humanity is not to be underestimated. Engineers, scientists, and strategists listened carefully. Ships already under construction were being retrofitted for unpredictable combat, engines designed to burn unevenly to produce chaotic thrust patterns, shields that oscillated to confuse enemy targeting systems, weapon systems that could overload harmlessly to trick sensors. Humanity had turned improvisation into an art, and a weapon. Lieutenant Syra Chin, now commanding the forward fleet, checked her holographic battle map. Sir, the Concord is issuing what they call an offer, diplomatic channels to join their alliance. They want us to negotiate under their guidance. Ward shook his head. An offer from the predators of the galaxy? They want to cage us while pretending it's an invitation. We negotiate with equals, not with jailers. Rao nodded. Prepare a response. We accept nothing less than equality. Or, we continue as we have. The Concord, startled by human defiance, deployed envoys to Earth. They arrived in massive ships, each one a marvel of alien engineering, living crystal, seamless design, engines glowing with soft energy, sensors scanning everything. A representative of the Concord, Alvar of the Indari, stepped forward in the diplomatic chamber aboard the neutral orbital station. Humans, it said, voice calm but forceful, your actions have attracted attention beyond your system. The Concord offers you membership in the Galactic Alliance, under guidance. You will be protected. You will be monitored. You will be managed. Rao's response was deliberate, measured. You tried to contain us. You underestimated us. We will not be managed. We will not be guided. We will participate as equals, or not at all. The alien eyes widened slightly, if alien eyes could do such a thing. You are aware that refusal may trigger defensive measures? Ward stepped forward, calm but radiating authority. We are aware. We are ready. The galaxy shifted. Neutral species, previously observing cautiously, began to hedge their bets. The Threx combined sent discreet envoys. Humans are remarkable. Treat them as an equal or risk consequences. The Zalari merchant fleets began diverting trade routes to human-controlled systems. Even small colonies, previously overlooked, began reporting covert recruitment by human scouts, teachers, and engineers. Humanity was no longer isolated, it was expanding influence not with overt conquest, but with unstoppable ingenuity. The Concord watched from Valorum Prime, anxious. Their simulations could not predict the next move. Human adaptability, chaotic strategies, and instinctive problem-solving confounded every calculation. We have underestimated them, Voran admitted for the first time. Every prediction fails. They do not behave according to probability. They create probability. Kale, nodding slowly, whispered, they have transcended our assumptions. They are a species that cannot be contained by walls, rules, or expectations. Althrex's voice resonated through the council chamber. Prepare the fleets. Humanity may not be defeated conventionally. They may define a new apex of life. Back at Xantha 5, human fleets conducted training exercises disguised as combat drills. Every ship learned to fight unpredictably. Every crew member drilled in redundancy, improvisation, and adaptive tactics. They studied alien strategies and then intentionally countered them with imperfect methods. Chaos became their doctrine. Captain Ward walked along the Defiance's bridge, observing a hologram of a projected Concord attack. He tapped random points on the map. They think they can corner us. They think they understand the sequence of our moves. Let's show them the human variable. Lieutenant Chin smirked. You mean, confuse them until they break? Ward's smile was faint, grim. No. We will outthink them mid-strike. We will exploit their perfection. And when they falter, humanity will take what we were never allowed to have, the galaxy's respect. The first true engagement under these new conditions occurred near the edge of the Proxima sector. The Concord fleet advanced, confident in its overwhelming technology. Shields glimmered, weapons hummed, and engines glowed in perfect synchrony. Humans did not meet them head-on. They split, feinted, staggered, and approached from angles the aliens could not anticipate. Chaos flares burst from human vessels, misleading sensors, while boarding teams bypassed the strongest points of enemy hulls. Ships appeared where no path existed, vanished from sensors, then struck again. The Concord officers were stunned. They fight like no species we have catalogued. They anticipate variables we have not even considered. Kale nodded silently. They have transformed every failure into a lesson. Every mistake into a weapon. On Earth, the President broadcast a message to every human colony and fleet. They told us we could be contained. They told us we were weak. They told us we were alone. They were wrong. The galaxy has underestimated us, but that underestimation ends today. We are humanity. We endure. We adapt. And we will be heard. Not as children of Earth, but as architects of our own destiny. In that moment, humans across the stars felt it. The tide had turned. For the first time, the galaxy did not just observe humanity. It feared it. And in the fear, humans saw opportunity. The apex species of the galaxy, long dormant, had finally emerged. The Concord had failed to realize that it was not containment they feared, it was human potential. And that potential was limitless. The Concord had grown desperate. On Valorum Prime, High Strategist Voran slammed his clawed hands on the crystalline council table. Containment has failed. Diplomacy has failed. Observation has failed. Humanity adapts faster than we can counter. Archivist Kale's luminescent limbs trembled slightly. They are no longer predictable, Voran. They improvise. They evolve. Every fleet we dispatch becomes a lesson for them. Every attempt to suppress them teaches them our weaknesses. Chair being Althrex rose slowly, a colossus of ancient intellect. Its many eyes glimmered with pale light. Then we will end this. Once and for all. The chamber fell silent. A massive model of the Sol system materialized in the center of the room. Around it swirled fleets, energy conduits, and gravitational anomalies, the star silence array. This device, Althrex said, voice resonating through the council chamber, will erase Sol from existence. Every ship, every station, every colony. Humanity will be extinguished in a single flawless strike. Nothing will remain. No rebellion. No apex species. No problem. Voran's multiple eyes glimmered. It is perfect. No variable unaccounted for. Humans cannot survive it. Kale remained silent, staring at the model, calculating in ways even he could not fully articulate. On Earth, human intelligence networks detected the construction almost immediately. Dr. Haruto Klein was the first to sound the alarm. The Concorde is building something massive. Something capable of erasing Sol itself. If it activates all human life, every colony will be gone in moments. President Amina Rao's face hardened. Then we have one choice. We stop it. Whatever it takes. Captain Elias Ward, older now but sharper than ever, was summoned to Earth's orbital command. Star Silence Array, he said after hearing the briefing. They're not just targeting ships or colonies. They intend to wipe us from reality itself. Lieutenant Syra Chen's voice was tight with tension. They've got the strongest fleet in the galaxy protecting it. We have hours, not days. Ward leaned forward. Then we fight differently. Not perfection. Not brute force. Improvisation. Chaos. And above all, human cunning. The plan was audacious. Human spies had learned enough of the array's design to know that a single failure in its control network could trigger catastrophic overloads. The human strategy combined multiple elements. Hacking the array's network from covert satellites and stealth drones. Sabotaging control nodes physically, ships would ram and board even if it meant losing themselves. Manual overrides by volunteers to ensure the system misfired. Diversionary fleets to draw the Concorde's guards away from critical points. In the orbital shipyards, volunteers signed up knowing they might never return. Every calculation, every device, every weapon was designed for one purpose: make the impossible happen. The operation began near the outermost defense ring. Human stealth drones, carrying raw chaotic energy signatures, slipped past Concorde sensors. Signals were jammed and overwritten. The array's monitoring systems flickered as corrupted data streamed in. Ward's fleet approached in staggered formations, deliberately breaking every conventional strategy. Ships rammed asteroid fields to create debris clouds. Energy pulses were fired off-sequence to mislead the enemy. Every move was designed to look like failure, but each failure was a calculated advantage. Lieutenant Chen's squadron was first. Boarding pods shot toward key control stations. Explosions rocked the array's hull, but energy relays absorbed damage, showing the Concorde had accounted for perfection, not chaos. Admiral. Chen's voice crackled. They can't predict this. Every time we fail, they're slower to respond. Ward's voice, calm and steady, came over the comms. That's the point. Keep improvising. The hacking teams had infiltrated the array's network. Human code, deliberately messy, flooded the control nodes with impossible mathematics, fractals, stochastic equations, and recursive loops the Concorde had never anticipated. Systems overloaded. Energy conduits flashed erratically. On Valorum Prime, Voran and Althrex watched the feedback. What is happening? Voran hissed. They are forcing instability, Kale whispered. Deliberately. With imperfection. With chaos. I have never seen anything like this. Meanwhile, Captain Ward and a handful of volunteers boarded the core control nodes manually. Fires burned around them. Radiation levels soared. Every step could be fatal. Keep going. Ward shouted. We've calculated the failure threshold. Overload it by hand if we must. One by one, human volunteers sacrificed themselves to trigger chain reactions in the control network. Explosions rippled outward, but the array's failsafes misinterpreted the chaos as internal errors. It destabilized further. Seconds before detonation, Ward entered the final override console. With trembling hands, he input an improvised sequence. A cascade of corrupted commands surged through the array. The Star Silence Array exploded, but not outward. It imploded internally, collapsing its own structure. The entire weapon self-destructed harmlessly in orbit. Across the galaxy, Concorde fleets reeled in disbelief. This should not have happened, Voran whispered. Althrex, silent for the first time in millennia, finally spoke. The humans have defeated our ultimate weapon, without perfection, without protocol, without surrender. They have surpassed all expectations. Archivist Kale's voice was barely audible. They do not merely survive. They define apex life. And nothing, no field, no fleet, no array, will ever contain them again. On Earth, the people watched the aftermath unfold on comms from distant colonies. Ships returned battered but victorious. Communications networks hummed with the quiet pride of survival. President Rao addressed the galaxy, her image projected across multiple human and neutral systems. They tried to erase us. They thought they could contain our spirit, our ingenuity, our lives. They were wrong. Humanity survives. Humanity endures. Humanity adapts. And humanity will continue, not as a minor species to be managed, but as equals among the stars. Captain Ward, looking at the stars beyond the station, finally allowed himself a small smile. We did it. Not because we were stronger. Not because we were faster. But because we refused to stop being human. And the galaxy, Concord, neutrals and even fearful observers, understood something terrifying and beautiful. Humans were no longer just survivors. They were unstoppable. The war was over. Not in the sense the Concord had expected. There were no grand surrenders, no conquered planets, no fleets burning in orbit. Instead there was silence. A silence that echoed with the knowledge of what humanity had achieved, and what the galaxy had witnessed. From Valorum Prime to the farthest trading posts in the Zilari system, the whispers spread. Humans had not only survived the star silence array, they had destroyed it from the inside out. They had turned a weapon designed to erase them into a lesson for every species in the galaxy. Never underestimate humanity. High Strategist Voran of the Kelt Dominion walked the halls of the Concord Council chambers, shoulders tense. We cannot contain them. We cannot predict them. They adapt faster than we can plan. They do not fear failure, they use it. Archivist Kale, usually calm and methodical, studied the human data for hours. Finally he spoke. They have transcended our projections. Every variable we assumed, every contingency we planned they have rewritten. They are not only apex, they are unpredictable. And in that unpredictability they are invincible. Chair being Althrex, whose mind had spanned millennia, finally admitted aloud what none had dared before. They are not to be contained. They are not to be guided. They are to be respected. On Earth, humanity celebrated cautiously. The fleets returned, battered but alive. Engineers repaired ships on orbiting stations. Colonies that had faced alien patrols opened their ports to new trade routes. Scientists shared discoveries openly across planets. Every child in orbit, every family on the surface knew the truth. Humanity had not just survived. Humanity had ascended. President Amina Rao addressed the combined fleets and planetary governments. Her voice was steady, carrying the weight of history. They told us we could not reach the stars. They tried to cage us. They tried to erase us. And yet here we are. Not just as survivors, not just as explorers, but as equals among the stars. Humanity is not defined by fear, by limitation, or by containment. We are defined by resilience, ingenuity, and the refusal to surrender. And that definition will guide us into the future. The Concord, shaken to its core, convened a new council. The old hierarchy could no longer hold. Species that had once assumed dominance realized they had misjudged the humans, and misjudgment in the galaxy could be fatal. Humans were offered representation, not out of charity but out of necessity. Every Concord delegate, from the crystalline Kelt to the enigmatic Indari, knew that ignoring humanity was no longer an option. Captain Ward stood at the forefront of the delegation. He looked out at the galaxy from the Council's observation chamber, thinking not of vengeance, not of power, but of possibility. We have fought with every flaw we possess, he said quietly to Rao. Every imperfection became a tool. Every mistake became a weapon. That is what makes us, us. Rao nodded. And now the galaxy sees it too. Across the stars, human influence began to spread, not through domination but through example. Neutral species adopted human methods of redundancy, adaptability, and improvisation. Education programs and technology exchanges were offered to those who wished to learn, not as submission but as collaboration. Colonies once isolated became hubs of innovation. Trade networks, previously rigid and controlled by ancient monopolies, were restructured. Humans brought a different philosophy: survival through adaptability, cooperation through ingenuity, and victory through courage. The galaxy had feared humanity. That fear had transformed into respect. And from respect came opportunity. Yet even in triumph, humanity remained human. On Earth, children still gazed at the night sky with wonder. On Mars, settlers laughed under the thin, pink sky. On stations orbiting gas giants, engineers debated solutions to impossible problems. Humans celebrated, grieved, loved, and argued, the same emotions that had once made the Concord dismiss them as primitive. But now, every argument, every choice, every innovation mattered on a cosmic scale. Humanity had become a species not merely capable of survival, but of shaping the galaxy itself. On Valorum Prime, Althrex recorded the final observation in the Concord archives. Humans are not the strongest species in terms of physical might. They are not the most technologically advanced in isolation. They are not the oldest or the most numerous. Yet, in every measure that truly matters, they are apex. Their intelligence, their resilience, their capacity for adaptation and innovation surpasses all others. They survive when all others fail, they thrive when all others doubt, and they define a standard of life that cannot be contained, controlled, or extinguished. Archivist Kale added quietly, they are a reminder that the galaxy is never static. That life, at its most dangerous and brilliant, will always find a way. On the bridge of the Defiance, now orbiting Earth once more, Captain Ward watched the stars. Ships, colonies, and fleets stretched across the solar system. Every one of them was a testament to human ingenuity and courage. Lieutenant Chin approached, a rare smile breaking her stoic demeanor. Do you think they understand us now? Ward shook his head. They may understand we exist, but they will never fully understand us. They will never predict the human spirit. And that is our greatest power. Rao, standing beside him, looked out at the vast galaxy beyond. We have endured, adapted, and survived everything they threw at us. Now we define our own destiny. Ward nodded. And the galaxy will learn to respect it, or be left behind. In the years that followed, humanity became a force unlike any the galaxy had known. The Concord rebuilt itself, tempered by the lesson humans had imposed. No species can be underestimated. No species can be contained. And humanity, from the blue planet at the edge of a quiet spiral galaxy, continued to reach for the stars. Ships launched into new systems. Scientists probed alien worlds. Diplomats forged alliances. Soldiers trained relentlessly. Every challenge, every unknown, every danger became an opportunity to adapt and overcome. The galaxy watched, learned, and respected. Humans had not only survived contact with the oldest and most powerful civilizations, they had rewritten the rules of existence itself. And in doing so, they had proven something every being in every corner of the cosmos could no longer deny. Humanity is unstoppable. Humanity is apex. Humanity defines what it means to endure, to adapt, and to conquer, not with domination but with brilliance, courage, and the indomitable spirit of life itself. The stars had a new apex species, and it was human.